See this smile? I've always had this smile. Throughout my childhood and my adolescence, I had this smile. This was the mask that I wore to please my family, peers, and society. Who's really behind this smile? What do I care about? What's important to me? What is my true potential and purpose in life? Before I hit my late 20s and my 30s, these questions were outside of myself. What seemed more important was what was going on with other people, what would make them happy, what would make them like me, accept me. Then something exploded in me and forced me to take a look at my presentation of myself, my self-esteem, my responses in relationships, both personal and professional. I did a lot of journal writing and reading and professional therapy, but most importantly, sharing with friends and other women. I have been on the most brave, risky experience of my life, self-exploration. I've had to face a lot of hard facts. I'm not a little girl anymore. There is no Santa Claus. I'm not a rebellious teenager. I'm not a 20-something-year-old girl who can sit around and wait for Mr. Prince Charming to come along and take me on his white horse to live happily ever after. I am a single woman in my 30s. The old rules do not apply to me or my life anymore. I have to take charge of my life. I have to get rid of outmoded beliefs and relationships, decide what I'm passionate about, follow my heart, and make my dreams a reality. I know it's up to me, but I must say that along the way I have found what a powerful impact that sharing and support of others can be in our lives. Relating to other people can be both inspiring and empowering. I'm Deborah Koppel, and I have 3 inspiring women here with me right now who are going to share with you their stories on my show, Woman Talk with Deborah Koppel. Welcome to Woman Talk with me, Deborah Koppel, and my guests, Toddy Ames. This is Jane, oh God, Nancy Rykon, and Jackie Tomlinson. Jackie, let's start with you. You are a single woman in your 30s, but you were in a very stifling, restrictive marriage, and you now have a very successful business in financial services. And you also have your own show on cable, which is Kids News. Tell me briefly kind of what your life was like before now, and what got you to change and become the independent and successful woman you are today.
Well, Deborah, what my life was like before, I was in a marriage with a man who traveled an awful lot, and when he came home, he would basically not even say, "Hi, honey." He would start going through the house and doing somewhat of a white glove inspection of the house.
Ew.
And yeah, and then come back and complain, "Honey, how come there are clothes still on the washing machine?" Yeah. And what was so amazing though is it's kind of like if you scratch yourself. If I sat here and scratched myself, I could scratch and scratch and scratch and scratch. And next thing you know, I would be down to the bone. And it would never have hurt. And through 9 years of being with him and constantly being put down, belittled, undermined in everything that I did, the sad thing is that I just accepted it. That's just how it was. And I was actually, talking about wearing a mask, I was actually smiling and portraying to the world that I had the perfect life.
And did you actually believe that you did?
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had 2 children in a nice little suburb outside of Dallas. Cute little 2-story house, 2-car garage, 2 cars, 2 dogs, you know?
The ideal picture.
Oh, you bet, you bet. And I was totally oblivious to the fact that my needs, I was oblivious to what my needs were. My wants, my dreams, my desires. I was very subservient. And a friend of mine moved back to Dallas. She'd been in Chicago. And the last time she had talked to me really a lot, we had been in school and planning our dreams and our futures, etc. And she remembered, believe it or not, she actually remembered some of the things that I had said. And she said, Jackie, you know, what about your dreams? And when are you going to do this? And do you still ever think about doing this? And I started thinking about these things. And, you know, questions are very powerful. And that's something I really do today, even as I look at what questions am I asking myself.
And sometimes it takes a friend to reflect back to you who you are.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't like it. I didn't like what I saw, that looking at where my life was then, I would never be me. I would never have me again. I was gone. And I wanted to have me. I wanted to be me, and I wanted to live my life.
So what did you do? What was like your first step?
Well, I would say my first step really was enrolling in a personal effectiveness workshop, in a training. And in this training, there was a process where some people gave me some very honest feedback, and I was smiling all the time, and I thought, oh, I'm the most perfect, you know, possible person, you know. And they gave me some feedback and said, you know, if you ever get in touch with the pain and the hurt that you feel that's hidden underneath that smile, it's probably going to be the most powerful thing you can do in your life. And I basically told them where to go.
I don't want to do that.
I kind of smiled.
I don't want to go
like,
there.
Yeah, what do you know? You know?
I want to know, did your husband know that you were doing this, or did you have to sneak around?
Oh, he knew. He would do things like, I came out to California. We're living in Dallas at the time, and came out to California to do the training. And he would get the kids on the phone and pinch them and have them cry. And, Mommy, Daddy's hurting us, please come home. Anything he could do to get me back. My purse got stolen while I was out here, and he refused to wire me any money, to call the credit card companies.
So you had left your
and
husband to take this?
Well, I just came out here for 10 days to do a training.
Oh, I see. And for him, it was like you left him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it was very...
An abandoned ship.
Oh, yeah, he was just very... The rug had been pulled out underneath him. And he didn't like it.
And so what did it take for you to actually get out of the marriage?
He had totally betrayed my confidence with the same friend, actually, and he had done
Meaning
that.
what?
Meaning what? He had, in his mind, he thinks that she ruined his life and ruined my life and broke up our marriage, and he just accepts no responsibility for anything himself. It was all because of her. And so he had gone in an effort to push her out of my life and told her a bunch of things and then lied to me about it. And I didn't know what was going on. I just had a feeling that something wrong, you know, was, yeah. And so I was out here in one of Barbara DeAngelis' workshops, Making Love Work. In fact, it was Women in Transformation. And I stood up, and Barbara had worked with Chris and I. We'd both been on her talk show, and I stood up and I said, Barbara, you know, I try this, I do this, I do this. And by this time I had spent
Now, Chris was your husband?
Was my husband.
And you had appeared with him on her show?
Oh, yeah, he admitted on her show that he intentionally withheld his love because he didn't think I kept the house clean enough. And I thought I had a partnership.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I bet the audience and everybody just hissed and booed him, I would hope.
Unfortunately, the cameramen said, yeah, way to go, buddy.
Oh.
But the rest of everybody else was pretty, yeah.
God.
Yeah. So most of us were, a little, I wasn't pleased about it, yeah. And so then when I was in Barbara's workshop, and I brought it up, I said, Barbara, I try this, I do that. And she said, Jackie, I wouldn't normally say this to somebody. And in your case, I've worked with you, I've worked with Chris, and the question at this point is not really why does Chris continue doing what he's doing, but why do you continue putting up with it?
Yes. Yeah.
And I went, whoa, lights went on. And I went home and changed the locks and hired an attorney.
Great. And then came out to California
for
good.
Yeah. It took me about a year after that to save up and have things set up professionally where I could afford to come out here and open my own agency. And
now, how did you even know that this agency was what you wanted to do?
That's a great question. What I did back when I was out here in California doing the personal effectiveness workshops back in '89 is I outlined what my ideal life would look like.
That's a beautiful point to make.
Yeah, I actually sat down, I said, okay, I asked myself some questions. Is this the life I want? What would I change about it if I could? And what would my ideal life look like? And so I outlined this idea, absolutely absurd life, where I would work only while the kids were in school. I would use something using my professional, my financial planning abilities, and make a certain income that was important to me to have in order to be able to sustain my lifestyle. And then I also went in and defined it in a lot of different areas in terms of recreation, friendship, romance, things I'd be doing with the kids, organizations I would belong to. And I really outlined the whole thing and created a life. And by having that to focus on, I knew the first thing I needed was a mentor. I needed somebody who somewhat had that life already. And it was really amazing because, you know, the universe provides. Once I get clear, the universe will provide for me. And sure enough, I happened to meet a lady. I was standing in a restaurant, and I'm standing there in my full-length mink coat with my blonde hair out to here, and I'm telling everybody, you know, you need to do this, and let's get seated, and da-da-da, and giving instructions. And I heard somebody behind me doing the same thing. And I turned around, and I looked, and she turned around. She was facing me. Here we are. She's 6'1" in flats, and I'm 5'9", so in heels I was about 6'1". We're looking eye to eye. She has brunette hair all out to here, full-length, exact same mink. You know, of course, wouldn't wear it now, but
not in California anyway.
But I didn't even bring it with me. And so we're facing each other, and we both looked right up and like, whoa, who are you?
Wow.
And she said, you've got to come work with me. It turned out she was the vice president of MetLife Resources.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so I said, well, what do you do? And we started talking, and she was my mentor.
And so you went from, you left what appeared to be a secure life as far as material things, and you went to what? I mean, what did you have to start out with? Did you feel like you had to give up some?
Did I ever? Oh, Deborah, we're talking. Initially, I rented out the house, our house that we owned together, moved in with my mom in a little condominium with my kids.
Two kids.
Two kids, in a little condominium. Went to work with Christina, is her name, Christina Winters, wonderful, wonderful woman. Went to work with her. For 3 months, I rode around in her car with her, just shadowing her, just to learn from her. Everywhere she went. I met up with her at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I didn't get home until late at night, every day, to learn from her, and without pay.
And then you now have a life of, give us a picture.
My life now? My life now looks like I'm almost, I know I deserve it because I've done a lot for it, and sometimes I kind of look at it and I want to pinch myself. And I know it's just one step because I've already focused on what else I want to create. And it still is really neat because I get up in the morning, I'll go to Malibu Health and Rehab, I have a great trainer, work out, spend time with myself. Then I go to the schools.
So you live in Malibu now?
Oh, I live in Malibu in a wonderful condominium overlooking the ocean.
And you have your kids.
My wonderful,
and your
beautiful kids, sole custody of them.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jackie. We're going to have to kind of move on.
Okay.
Nancy, you're a psychotherapist and you specialize in codependency, and you also teach a course at UCLA, is it?
Yes,
That is along those lines, related to that.
It's in the alcohol and drug extension course, yeah.
Yes, and could you tell me, one thing I wanted to bring up that I found so interesting was the fact that you went into this profession at kind of a later stage in your life.
Pretty late.
Yes, could you tell us something about that?
Well, really, I was 30, well actually I was 42 when I returned to school. And I come from the kind of early, excuse me, childhood message was that if you find the right man, he will fix it and your life will be happy. And you don't ever have to learn to do anything, or you don't have to be trained for anything, and all you have to do is be a good housewife. So that's what I thought I was going to do. And coming from an alcoholic home, which was quite dramatic and a lot of upheaval, I wanted something safe. So I married Mr. Wright, and I was very safe for 16 years. Only I was so safe that we were really stultified, both of us, in that marriage, and neither of us knew at the time that we were both alcoholics. We had no idea. We drank socially on a rigid schedule, but social drinkers don't drink on rigid schedules like we did. We were both afraid of being alcoholic. Truly enough, I got him drunk before I married him to make sure that I wouldn't marry an alcoholic. But you see, we have such unconscious pulls toward this that I did anyway. So I had 2 children in that marriage, and then it collapsed, and my alcoholism was really taking over. And I remarried right away, just like that, to another alcoholic man. But I was so much worse that he appeared, you know, really well.
Stable.
I was so much worse, and by then we talk about hitting a bottom in our lives, and I hit a bottom. And when I thought this new man...
Stop for just a minute. What did it take for you to feel like you hit bottom?
Well, a couple of 5 drunk driving tickets, a husband saying that if I don't want a drunk for a wife, and the other part of that was that my mother committed suicide, and I had on pills and booze, and my father died of alcoholism. My whole family is involved with alcohol and drugs, all during that same period. But it crystallized. It crystallized in October of 1971 when my mother killed herself. I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd child, and I was drinking around the clock and crawling around on the floor and drinking a quart a day. I was really in sad shape. My 2 teenagers suffered immeasurably from that. So that was my first bottom. I then was very, very lucky to become sober woman with the aid of a self-help program. And then when I sobered up, I realized that someone else was doing a little drinking, and he didn't want to work. And my first husband had taken up residence on the Santa Monica Beach, and he wasn't working. Okay. So I had 2 teenagers, a new baby, and I was trained for nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And how old were you then?
I was, I don't know, between 37 and 42, something like that. But anyway.
Those years
yeah,
are lost.
They just kind of lost. But what happened was that we got really poor. And I didn't think that could happen to me. I just thought that, you know, I was really angry. Why aren't they taking care of me? I mean, I don't deserve this. I was really ticked off that I had to take responsibility for myself. And I had to, unfortunately, apply for public assistance. I had to collect cans and sell them. I collected newspaper and sold it. My kids all worked from the time they were 12, the big ones. And we were really, really poor, and I guess it got my attention. And I had a girlfriend who said, you know, Nancy, some people work for a living and help their husbands. Well, me. So I didn't want to do that. But by the grace of God and the CETA program, which was in force in that time.
Now, what does CETA mean?
CETA was Comprehensive Education and Training Act, and it's defunct now. But at the time, it took people who were disadvantaged, and I was, and trainable, which I was, and gave them a small amount of money to learn a trade. So, thank you by a God shot, I landed at Clare Foundation, which is a community center for alcoholics, a county-run facility. And my goodness, when I went to work, I found out I was good at it. And I even liked it. And I even liked it better than staying home. So that was a blessing. And I worked there for 9 years. And during that time, I got the idea that I could be something more. And that had never occurred to me because of the kinds of people I'd always been around who were addicted to failure, I guess one might say. And when I felt I could be something more, people kept saying, you need to go back to school. You make a good therapist. Oh, not me, I couldn't do that.
And how old were you then?
42 when I started back to school. And I had to work during the day and go to school what other times. I actually held a full-time job, a part-time job, and somehow went to school. And I didn't even have my BA at that time. So it took a BA and a master's and my licensing.
And so how many years?
Took 10 years.
Wow.
Took 10 years. If I'd known that at the start, I wouldn't be here. You know, you just put one foot in front of the other. Yes. And it happened one day at a time. And actually it was kind of a wonderful time. It was a wonderful time now that I look back on it. So I really feel very blessed that I was able to do this work and that I am good at it. And so I was around before they even heard of codependency. We all knew what it was. We just didn't have a name for it,
no label.
Or for adult children of alcoholics. And I'm just happy to say that my 3 children are all clean and sober today.
Oh, that's great.
I have a 34-year-old, a 32-year-old, and a 20-year-old. And I'm clean and sober, and my nephew's clean and sober, and both ex-husbands are clean and sober. And so I feel that I'm a second generation has started into
A new
life.
cycle. Yes.
And you know, so much of us would rather be ruined than changed. It's my favorite quote.
Yes, yes.
We would rather be ruined than changed, and really what I had to do was just believe in myself and step out in faith and believe that I could be something else.
And at what age did you come to having your own practice?
Well, that was about 6 years ago. I'll be 59 in November. And it was 6 years ago that I got licensed and left
That is
Clare. I
very
worked at St. John's a while.
To hear. Thank
And
you, Nancy.
yes, I'm very happy to be here, and thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. Toddy Ames, you are another person that I really admire for the fact
Thank
that
you.
you are doing something that is really close to your heart, that you've always dreamed of, but it took you a little longer
A while.
time.
A while.
Yes,
Because
tell
I've
us about that.
always been very independent. I was raised by my mother, a single parent in the 20s, which was very rare. And she was very independent. She raised me to be very independent. And I've always done what I wanted to do. Somehow I got there to do what I wanted to do. I wanted to get out of Oklahoma. So I came to California when I was 21.
That was very daring back then, too.
Yes, I got off of the train downtown Los Angeles with $10 in my pocket.
Wow.
Didn't know a soul. But I had dreams in the other pockets, so it worked fine. I went to work at the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard as a cashier, watched the war walk by, and from there I went into modeling. My first job was a brassiere model. Then I started doing an uplifting job. Yes. And then I started working in films and television. Did that for a number of years, and on, married and married and married. I knew I made a mistake. I got out of it.
And went to another one.
You're right. Change, always change. But I welcome change. And so at about 64, I thought, well, I'm not going to retire, but what am I going to do now?
Now, at 64, were you on your own, no longer in a marriage?
No longer in a marriage. And I'd always wanted to sing, always. So I decided to do that, find out if I could do that. So I went to my friend Catherine Reynolds, who teaches, and told her I was going to be her next student. And she said, I didn't know you could sing. And I said, well, I don't know if I can either. Let's find out. So she, after about 3 lessons, she said, if you stop, I'll kill you. So
that was encouraging.
Really. So we worked together for about 1.5 years, and a friend of mine, Tom Rolla, owns a club on Santa Monica Boulevard called the Gardenia.
Yes.
And I mentioned to Tom that I was singing, and he said, well, of course you'll make your debut here. And I said, of course I will. So on my 66th birthday, I opened at the Gardenia. And it was so wonderful. It's just such a good feeling, entertaining people and watching their faces. I sing all the old stuff, so memories come charging in at people from the songs that I sing. I don't sing anything that was written after 1950, I don't think, except a few country western things. And that's just been the thrill of my heart now, is singing. And I'm at the Gardenia about every 3 months. And I did a one-woman show at the Galleria Theater at Barnesdale Park.
That is fabulous.
I mean, walking out onto a large stage all by myself.
So you're still singing at
At the Gardenia.
No, but now you are at what?
70.
70 years
Yeah.
old. You
Yeah.
are a beautiful
Thank
woman.
you.
Yes,
Thank you. I just love doing it, and I guess there won't be any more dramatic changes. I will continue to sing.
Toddy, I would just like you to tell us, with your wisdom, how would you go about suggesting to women of all ages how to set their goals or just get what they want out of life?
Welcome change. Stop fighting it. You know, it's going to change. I figure if you fight change, you fight life, because life is change. You must go with it, welcome it, get into it. It will make you a better person.
Oh, that's great. And on that note, we'll have to close our first show of Woman Talk with Deborah Koppel. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for having us.
Yes,
It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Good to see you.